Everyone, I'd like to call this meeting to order in open session. Welcome to this evening's hybrid Board of Trustees meeting being held both in person and virtually. This meeting has been made accessible to members of the public on the link at the Moreland School District website and on Diligent. Any person who requires accommodations to access the meeting has been asked to contact the superintendent's office within 24 hours of this meeting. This meeting is being recorded and may be published online at a later date. And I'll just note President Chatwathi is not here tonight, but we'll be back at our next board meeting. And with that, I would love to introduce or welcome up some Baker Bobcats to the podium to lead us in tonight's flag salute. All right, you've got to tell us what to do. Dance? Okay.
Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, don't sit down. Oh, don't sit down. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming tonight and leading us in the flag salute. If you wouldn't mind, please, introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about what you help with at school. Start down here with you, sir.
Hayden.
Hi.
Welcome, Kate.
I like helping at school.
Very good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Kaden.
My name is Kendall, and I like to help with art stuff.
Nice.
My name is Ishan, and I like doing little buddies in class at school.
Fabulous.
My name is Lily, and I like helping with the assemblies and doing numbers. My name is Sydney, and I like also helping with assemblies.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
I was just curious, what are buddies? Who can tell me what does that look like and why do you like it?
Buddies is something where an older grade partners up with a lower grade and have do activities and do activities together.
That's great. Thank you.
So it's amazing to have you guys here. It's really, I know it gets a little bit nerve-wracking, but can you guys tell me a little bit something that you guys, like for example, the spirit assemblies. Tell me a little bit more about what are some things that you guys do for the spirit assemblies.
With the spirit assemblies, for each assembly we go off like an emotion. For example, our past one was for perseverance, and we get the emotions, we get the ideas from character strong.
Yeah.
Oh, from character strong. Nice.
Fantastic. And are you guys looking forward to anything coming up in the next couple weeks? Do you have another spirit assembly or other activities in the next couple weeks?
That was our spirit assembly. That was our last spirit assembly. Also, we're looking forward to the end of the school year.
I like honesty. That's awesome. That is the best spirit assembly, really.
Well, I won't ask you another question because it's already hard for you to come up here and do this. But I say this to all the students that come and to parents that bring their students. Thank you for coming. We know you're near the end of school. You didn't need one more thing to do before the school year ends. But before we start our deliberations for the evening, it's really helpful for us to see students who are impacted by the policy decisions that we make. And so you're the reminder that we'll have for the rest of the evening as it relates to kind of the things that we talk about. And we'll be really appreciative that we have these stellar students who are serving each other and who are coming and helping campus culture and are caring for one another in our minds' eyes as we are having those conversations. And so it might seem like a silly thing to drag you out of your homes before dinner and all of that stuff, but it's actually super important because we can forget about the things that we really value as important, and it really comes down to you as the students. So thank you very much. And I know there are other comments, but I'll spare you another round of questions. It's my gift to you.
I'll just add that I'm really proud of your leadership roles and your contributions to your schools. It's really impressive and very exciting. I want to also thank you for coming tonight and to thank your families for bringing you and for supporting you in all of your endeavors. Dr. Codd.
Yeah, Baker Bobcats, what is it, 8 days left in the school year? Is anyone counting? Those behind you are counting, okay. I love that you all are here because you like to help your school. You like to help your schoolmates, the culture and the climate. I would love to know what happens at a Spirit Assembly. I feel like there should be a dance or a cheer or something like that. No, I don't know, Jen. I don't know, Miss Jen. What do you think? We've got some songs. Well, you don't have to sing them tonight. Did I make you nervous? Okay, good. You don't have to sing them tonight. But I'm just also very proud that you would come and lead us in the flag salute. It's very important that we see students because that is why we're here. We're here to support you. So thank you for supporting us tonight.
Good job tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're welcome to, I probably want to get photos out of there.
Jen, can you take a photo of them? Because Maureen's not here.
And parents, you're welcome to stay. You're also welcome to go home.
Out by the, yeah, right there, and take a photo.
Great job, guys.
Then I don't.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
So cute. Oh, yeah. Kiddo with their hand up.
I'll report out that there was no action taken this evening in closed session and move to approval of tonight's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
It's down to you and me tonight. I want you to be clear. Like, this is, we gotta be in sync to make this thing work tonight.
Comments from the public.
Comments from the public.
Go for it.
Members of the public may address the board on any subject of concern to you, including those not on tonight's agenda. However, provisions of the Brown Act preclude any action as an unagendized item. No response is required or permitted from the board or district staff as it is already, and as already stated, no action can be taken. The board, however, may instruct the superintendent to follow up, which may or may not include placing an item on a future meeting's agenda. If you would like to address the board this evening, please complete the blue public comment card within the first 15 minutes of the board being called to order in public session. On the card, please list the agenda item or items you'd like to speak to. If your comments do not pertain to an agendized item, please write public comment. When your name is called, please come to the podium and state your name and organization which you're representing. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per the board governance manual. I see we have, are there any others? Anybody who was later want to join? Okay. Chris, welcome to the podium. Good to see you.
So I'm here because we would like to say a thank you to Jen Baldwin. I want to take a moment to thank you for the incredible support we've given our staff over the years. As teachers, we've always appreciated not only your professional guidance, but also the genuine care you've shown us personally. During difficult times and devastating events, you checked in, you listened, and you made people feel seen and supported. You worked hard to bring our Moreland Magic back, and that mattered deeply to all of us. One thing I've always told teachers is reach out to her, she listens. Even if the answer wasn't always what someone hoped for, people walked away feeling heard, valued, and remembered. That is a rare and meaningful gift in leadership. So thank you for leading with compassion, heart, and humanity. You will truly be missed, and we wish you nothing but the best in your next chapter.
Stacy?
Same. Jen, great leaders often speak, extraordinary leaders listen. In your time with Moreland, you have been that extraordinary leader. You bring us together, you listen to our ideas, all of them, we've got a lot. You understand that the strongest idea is never created alone, and that because of that, collaboration is not just something that you encourage, it's something that you're an active part of. You are forward-thinking in every sense of the word. You see the possibilities where others see the obstacles. You inspire us to think bigger, work smarter, and believe in what is possible. And because of this, we become invested, feel valued, and are motivated to contribute. You build personal connections with the Moreland staff and the community by remembering little things, the little details, the names of family members, important milestones, personal challenges, and celebrations. This might seem small, but it leaves a lasting impact. I was fortunate to work closely with you on the standards-based grading and middle school committee this year. Your facilitation of our conversations and the guest speakers that you brought in pushed us all to re-examine and think harder about why we do what we do, behind it. Not only were the conversations refreshing and eye-opening, but they were also honest and reflective. Your leadership reminds us that true inspiration and motivation are not just sustained by one person alone, but are cultivated through understanding, collaboration, and authentic relationships. Thank you for your expertise and motivating us to think out of the box. You're going to be very much so missed.
Thank you. Jeffrey, bringing us home.
Okay, no pressure. All right, so good evening, board members and cabinet. Before the school year ends, I wanted to share some kind words to Dr. Jen Baldwin on behalf of Moreland educators. Dr. Baldwin, Jen, when you first came to our district, you endearingly called us Morelanders. You regaled us with stories of how we were all gardeners and you had harvested eggplants, your favorite, in your garden, and we certainly did not know how or what to make of that information. But over time, we understood that the team name, metaphors, and more is a symbol of your engagement, passion, and dedication to us, to Moreland. One thing you often bring up in a tribute to the je ne sais quoi of Moreland is the Moreland magic. And I know I'm not the first nor the last to tell you that you are part of that magic that brings us all together. And so in spirit of unity, I thought it would be fitting to share some testimonials from different teachers district-wide of how your Moreland magic has impacted them. One teacher at Moreland Middle School said that Jen is great at listening to feedback and taking into consideration when planning. She leaves thoughtful notes when she comes into your classroom and really cares about getting to know teachers as humans. Oh, and she has great taste in wine. A teacher at Latimer said, Jen's support extends beyond just classroom stuff. Our staff went through some traumatic experiences, most recently with the loss of a colleague, and she checked in on us to make sure we were okay. And on the same note, a teacher at Payne wanted to thank Jen for her partnership and for listening to needs and concerns when it came to making any adjustments to our PD. It gave us more motivation to be honest about our reflections and evaluation. And finally, at Anderson, a teacher stated that Jen always has a positive energy and shows a genuine concern about doing what's best for teachers and students. So Jen, it's bittersweet for us to say goodbye to you. We are truly happy for your new role. Your departure will be a huge loss to all of us at Moreland, and we are forever indebted and grateful for your advocacy, support, and servant leadership. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
He's like, I gotta get out of here.
So just a quick reminder, because it was public comment, we can't actually comment or engage in that conversation, but thank you so much for coming tonight and for sharing your experiences. I think we have one more meeting with you, yes? Okay, so we've got one more to go. But thank you so much for coming tonight and showing your support. All right.
You're welcome to stay, obviously, for the remainder of bed or dinner. Sounds like it might be calling.
Okay, either way. Yep.
Thank you guys for coming.
Superintendent's report, Dr. Cott.
Yes. All right, next slide, Ulysses. So the honors orchestra and band concerts were on the 14th of May. I was able to attend, standing room only, as always. I want to give a big thank you to Nils, Katie, and Judy for the performance that we were able to hear. Did you know that we have more than 150 students in 5th grade orchestra band honors? Like that is incredible for the size of district that we have, to have 150 5th graders in the honors band and orchestra. So congratulations to all of our student musicians. We still have 6 student concerts left for the year. One is happening right over here, Moreland Middle School. Want to thank MEF for all of their volunteer work. They help set up, they help with the programs, they help fundraise, they are there to just support the teachers and what they need. And so I just want to say thank you to the volunteers and MEF for all of their contributions. Next slide, please. So we have been talking about Miss Shelley Hong's announcement where she has resigned from trustee area 1. So the board has made the decision to make a provisional appointment as opposed to having a special election. Last Thursday, we had an information session for people that were interested. And so we had cabinet there talking about what it means to be a board trustee, sort of the governance structure, gave a little bit of insight into the governance manual, which I know you're probably very happy about. And we have 3 people who will be named tonight at a later point in the agenda who have applied for the role. And those interviews will take place on Saturday, June 6th. And then we are here, end of year promotion ceremonies and events and those senior walks. I want to make sure I get to that Anderson one. I believe both Anderson and Latimer, we have the 2 students going to Columbia and Stanford. They're going to be at those graduation walks. So I want to make sure that we're there for that. So let's see. We have promotion ceremony starting June 4th with Latimer. That will be next Thursday. And then on Friday, we've got EDS first, and then we go over to MMS for the promotion ceremonies. So senior walks, graduating, we've got, still have open houses this week, so lots going on in the last 2 weeks of school. And then really good news, next slide, our transitional kindergarten program is expanding. So we had to open up just recently another new TK class. We'll be going to Latimer. We only had 8 spots left for the entire school district for TK, which we know they enroll throughout the summer. And so we're opening another class. That's very good news. So I want to say congratulations to everybody who's been putting their effort in to just go out there campaign for, you know, how great Moreland is and making sure that we're bringing families in. And then let's see, yes, open house, here we are, last push. And that is the Prospect Robotics Club, who comes to most of the open houses. If they're not in competition, they come. Always a big, just the students love it, the families love it, always brings just a little extra flair to the open house. And then, let's see, May Revise came out just a couple weeks ago. So Chris is going to give an overview of that budget on June 9th. We'll have the budget hearing where we talk about what all of the implications are for the Moreland School District and what that looks like in a 3-year budget that we'll present to you, that you would all, there would be a budget hearing, and then the subsequent meeting we ask for your approval on that. And then lastly, the retirement celebration is Tuesday, June 2nd, 3:30 p.m. right in here. That is last year's. We had a cake. We'll do something very similar. We got rave reviews with how we orchestrated that last year. So I want to invite, we've got 16 people retiring this year from Moreland. So we invite you for some cake and some comments, and we look forward to celebrating those who have put all of their time in Moreland. And I think that concludes my remarks for this portion of the agenda.
Thank you. Board members' communications.
Nothing new, but I will be attending tomorrow's Country Lane Open House, so I'll be excited to go see.
For me, I attended the Baker Open House. That is always a treat. All the open houses are so special. Great to see familiar faces and names and hear about what a terrific year everyone has had. So value that feedback. And also attended the EDS 2-3 family night in the woods, actually, and really phenomenal event that they put together to celebrate the learning that they're working on, and kids are so truly excited to show and showcase what they know, and parents to celebrate those efforts. And so just a really phenomenal time of year, and I'm so grateful to be able to be a part of it. MTA union update.
I have a guest with me today.
Oh, you do? I see that.
Just making a guest appearance, celebrity appearance.
Celebrity guest. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Just open it on my phone. So this is the last shout out of the 25-26 school year. Okay, here we
Vivian Chen is being shouted out by Susan Brown at MMS for being such an amazing co-teacher this year. Nothing was too small or too big for you to handle, from strategic seating to complicated lesson planning. Thanks for making this a successful year. Chelsea, Hillary, and Melissa are being shouted out by Joanne and No at Country Lane. Thanks for being a great third grade team the last 2 years. You've made my move to Country Lane so much fun. From MMS, Grace Kim is shouting out Colleen Saldivar, Christy Kerwin, Susan Brown, Vivian Chen, Nunez. Any better? That's this. Thank you for being the best 7th grade core team. I am beyond grateful for all the support, kindness, generosity, and love. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations on a year wrapping up.
Thank you for continuing to come and share your shout outs. It's really special.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Discussion and action items. Item 6A, approval of names and number of interviews for the June 6th special board meeting. It's just me?
Yes.
All right. At our April 28th, 2026 board meeting, the board approved a resolution to fill the vacant seat of Shelley Hong, sadly, trustee Area 1 by provisional appointment. Applications were accepted for the open position from May 18th until May 26th at 10 a.m. We received a total of 3 qualified applicants. In an effort to fill the board vacancy in trustee Area 1, the board will interview the following candidates and make a provisional appointment at the special board meeting scheduled for Saturday, June 6th. The 3 candidates are Sishan Sekarapuram, sorry Sishan, William Flewelling, and Gordon Pearl. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve these 3 names to be interviewed on Saturday, June 6th.
I'm excited to meet them. I submit a motion to approve these 3 names for our meeting on June 6th.
And I will second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, on to approval of the 26-27 contract with Rhythm and Moves.
Thank you. We have a strong ongoing relationship with Rhythm and Moves. They do a great job in meeting our needs for PE, elementary PE. And we are continuing to have a contract with them. It actually is less than it was last year. And last year was less than the year before, which is declining enrollment, but also helpful that they adjust the contract in that way. So I ask that you approve our contract with Rhythm and Move for the 2026-27 school year.
Just out of curiosity, do we look at other alternatives, or because they've been functioning as a partner for a long time, do we not in this case? What do we do in that?
I would say that we would be happy to, but because of our strong relationship, they meet our needs. They work really well with our site administrators too. It's very complicated to get all of those prep releases organized, and they're very flexible. And I have worked with Anne in conjunction with some of the sites at times when it wasn't working, and she always figures out a way to make it work. And so that really is a gift. Because you couldn't ensure that that would be the case, with another company. So we're very pleased, and also that they continue to be fiscally reasonable.
Any other questions?
So for me, I was just wondering, we always, when we're looking at contracts, 2 things, especially as it relates to staff, we always look at filling positions like PE teachers, right? And that continues to be a difficult position to fill, sufficient to cover our needs. Is that fair? Yeah. And then every contract has an out if need be? Yes? Okay. Thank you for providing that. Anything else from the board?
I submit a motion to approve the Rhythm and Moves contract.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
We're actually wildly more, I just want to be clear, we're wildly more efficient without these other board members in our life.
Shelley is in the audience.
Oh, wait, hey, Shelley. It's good to see you.
It's just less, uncertainty, we know. All right, reports and action items, the K-8 mathematics curriculum adoption report and approval.
All right.
Well, we are happy to present to you. I'm going to welcome up our teachers. Actually, you guys can stay seated until we get to your slide.
Don't make him stand up there long.
Yeah, I won't make them stand up there any longer, that's a good point. We're very excited to bring to you our math adoption that begins next year. We had a very rigorous process, and I want to start with that and kind of go over that, and then we'll be able to kind of share with you about the curriculum we're choosing, have the teachers kind of give their perspective, and then at the end, we'll be able to answer any questions. But if you have a question in between, we're happy to answer it as well. So the background is we actually have been in a 2-year process. We began last year knowing that the curriculums were going to be aligned with the new framework, and we also knew that a lot of our teachers hadn't been exposed to the new framework and needed to do some learning, as well as Tracy and myself needed to learn about it too. And so we really dove into learning about the new framework and really understanding the mathematical practices, the content standards. And we also went through a process of gathering feedback from our constituents and really trying to discern what was important for Moreland when they were considering a math curriculum. Then we moving into this year, we brought in several vendors, and we had like a marathon day of presentations from a variety of different vendors that had all been approved by the framework. And in that, after that, we voted and decided which would actually be the ones that we piloted. So the middle school decided that they would have K-8 California Mathematics, and so did the elementary. So they also decided that they would pilot that. We also piloted Eureka at the K-5 level, and we piloted Illustrative at the 6-8 level. And then we hurried up and got everybody situated and trained. In December, we had a training, and we kicked it off right away. And they piloted the first curriculum, and then they followed it by the second curriculum. And then we came together to make the decision. So we used these priorities to guide the process. They also decided on these priorities of what was important to our community, but also what it was important to them in choosing a math curriculum. So these were their top priorities in order that they were going to use when we came together to make the decision. So content and rigor, teacher usability, differentiation, and vertical alignment. So we decided on California Mathematics. And California Mathematics offers a really, as you can tell, I'm not going to go into great depth on all of these, but a really fresh look at teaching math. And what I would say, a huge shift in just the framework and math thinking is kind of thinking more like an engineer. That you're not thinking just about a rote problem anymore, that you're thinking about it conceptually, and you're focused on big ideas. And so you're diving into investigating and inquiry, and you can see the 3 drivers of investigation: making sense of the world, predicting what could happen, and affecting the future. They also make content connections. There's a lot of fusion in the curriculum between science and math, as well as English and math, as well as social studies and math. And so you're bringing in a lot of other content areas and thinking. So it's not just, again, about a rote problem. The whole curriculum is designed with universal design of learning, which is commonly in the education world called UDL. But it really ensures that all students with disabilities, multilingual learners, they can access the curriculum. And I think that goes along with the standard alignment, where we're aligned to the standards, but also making sure that we can scaffold so that everyone can meet that grade level standard. And I think just from an administrator's perspective who didn't actually pilot it, but was able to see it in the classrooms. That's what I saw. I saw engagement of students and a different level of participation and understanding of the math, being a part of the curriculum. So next slide. So I wanted to invite Nick Budadaro and Julie McKinley-Reed, who were both on our pilot team. Nick teaches middle school at Latimer, and Julie teaches a combo class at Country Lane. And they're going to just share their perspective of piloting this material and why they also find value in it, obviously promoting why we decided on California Math Facts.
Okay. These are just some of the highlights that I observed as I piloted. As Jen said, I have a 1-2 combo this year, but I decided so I would not lose my mind, just pilot with just my first graders rather than piloting 2 grades at the same time. So some of the highlights that I observed was the lessons start out with a visual slide, which is really great for all students to have a no-risk opportunity to promote discussion and not focus on, I know the answer, or being right or wrong. And what I observed was students of all academic ability were able to participate. Whether they understood the concept or not, it was a low-risk activity for them. There is very explicit math vocabulary that is taught, which is key to really keeping them having those deeper understandings of the concepts, which builds obviously year over year. And them knowing that vocabulary and proactively using it really helped them build on sort of the previous lessons and even the curriculum that wasn't part of the pilot that we had been using prior to it, helped them really build on that. And then one of the things I really liked was there was a lot of opportunities for hands-on activities and problem solving. And with that, discussing those. And so it wasn't just about like, here, go take this, problem set or sprint or fluency drill. It was about, let's figure it out together. Let's work together. There's a lot of partner opportunities to figure out things and discuss, which obviously strengthens their understanding and skills. And then the last part was the way that it is paced is, I'm still trying to figure out the terminology. They call a session is a week. Within the session, there are lessons. So I'm gonna have to get used to that. But it spans over a week and it gradually builds on complexity throughout the week. And each day is different, but it doesn't sort of introduce new things all week long and all different kinds of strategies. It really focuses on that session and diving deeper and deeper throughout the week, which I observed that students really got a great understanding of what it was that we were working on.
Okay. Throughout my time, I've looked at a lot of different curriculums, both math and science, so I helped with choosing STEM scopes when we were there and really jumped on the opportunity to participate in math. So one thing I first want to talk about is how teachers responded to it. And one thing that I noticed is just a streamlined workflow, both digital and in the paper book that we looked at. There were other books that we looked at where pages were kind of all over the place, and this was like what the students see, the teacher sees. So looking at it, it really seemed user-friendly for new teachers, and I know we have a lot of new teachers that come in every year that they're given binders of stuff and they have to figure out how to use it, and this really seemed user-friendly for everyone involved. The digital integration is really nice because we're already using the iReady platform. This is integrated within it, so a lot of the navigating for teachers is natural. And just like, oh, I see this and I can access this and I click this link and oh, there's the pages I need. So it's very user-friendly for teachers. I asked my middle school students some of their perspectives of the framework and they were just like overwhelmingly positive compared to coming out of CPM, they were like, it's no longer a wall of text. And I'm like, you're right, there's more pictures, things are in color, they can write on it. So it really was more predictable for them. When they approached CPM, they had no idea what that day was going to be. But with California Mathematics, they knew this week we're on this one topic. We're gonna take our time going through it, we're gonna break it down and look at it. It was data-driven, so my reflections on CPM was we didn't know where students were at until the chapter test. And really then it really felt too late, because then it's like, oh, now we need to backtrack and do that again. Versus this, I had weekly feedback when it comes to daily exit tickets, but weekly, there was a weekly comprehension check at the end or quiz at the end of the week that was built in. So students either worked on the quiz or worked in a small group or reviewed again. So they really got to see week by week, do I know this concept or do I like fake know it? Am I just nodding my head at the teacher? What I thought was great, because middle school has a really hard time with small group instruction, this naturally was built for it. So you're really working through the week and you have 2 days to kind of really say, okay, you guys know it, let's work on this extension. You guys kind of know it, here's this independent activity. This group doesn't know it, I'm gonna work with you. And you really can work with students. Also, students really liked the lesson, there was a lesson summary each day. So they can flip back and see, oh, I missed, or oh, I didn't quite understand what the teacher said. It's right there next to the homework. So that was convenient. And then I was in a unique position that my daughter was piloting it the same time I was teaching it. So she's in 5th grade and got to do the 5th grade pilot. So I'd look at her and ask her her opinion about it, and I really saw more independence with California Mathematics than with Eureka. Many times she'd come home and be like, Dad, I don't know what to do. I'm a math teacher, I can do this. And I'd start explaining, she's like, that's not the way my teacher said it. And I'd be like, well, there's no notes, so I don't know what to tell you. It's the single piece of paper. Versus this book, everything was there, right? And I could flip back and say, oh, that's the method. And then I could teach her the method again, or review or point back to notes, this specific strategy. Because we all know, we have our own methods, we learned it a different way, and that's confusing for kids. But to see that there, it was good. And then the beginning of the week also started with a parent letter that's in multiple languages online, but in the book it's there saying, this is what your kid's gonna learn this week. Examples, pictures, everything they need. So everything seemed purposeful and rigorous. Overall, I strongly could recommend this curriculum.
You had me at parent letters. Julian, I see. Thank you. I'm always blown away when you get a chance to see teachers do their professions. And so, first of all, I'm thankful that you guys would spend all that additional time, heart and energy to get engaged and do it on behalf of others. So just a huge thank you. And so my question is, I raise kids all through CPM in essence. I've seen a little bit of the fallout of that. And so, but we followed a very similar process when we adopted that. Teachers basically got together, looked at a couple of different platforms, piloted it, launched it. So, what advice do you have for, fast forward, we're 5 or 10 years from now, and we're looking at another curriculum. What do you hope they're saying about, what did we have to get right about this adoption? Is it fidelity that everybody does it? Is it that people really use it in conjunction with iReady? Is it like, what is going to be the key to this being really successful with these kids in your mind?
I think for me, one of the big takeaways when we met as a large pilot team was there was a huge disconnect with primary and secondary.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
not primary, secondary.
Elementary.
K-5 to middle school. Because oftentimes, you would hear middle school teachers saying, these kids are not coming in, they're not prepared for middle school. And so I think that was something that we really took to heart, that we wanted kids to be prepared. And I don't know if there is a curriculum that is the perfect end-all be-all, right? But I think there's a lot to say about having that continuity from K-8 that we have to at least try, right? And so, my son used CPM as well, and I kind of liked it as a parent, but I wasn't teaching it either. And so I think that for me, that was the biggest thing that I took away from those meetings was that we need to have some sort of better flow of how kids are learning and how it's flowing through all the way to 8th grade. Past that, I don't know, but I think that that was something that was lacking for sure. And I'm hoping that this will pay off.
I would agree. Teaching, I've done 6th, 7th, and 8th. So seeing those kids come in 6th grade and like, here's the book, and just like, where are all the math problems was a struggle, right? So seeing and hopefully in 5 or 10 years, knowing that kids have gone all the way through from kinder to 8, and they can see that scope and see that connection. Oh, this relates to this, and those stepping stones a little clearer, I think will be helpful. Right there, and I'll be honest, yes, the continuation into high school, it's tough to tell, right? I think the math foundation will be there, the ability for students to dialogue about math and not just do it independently, I think is big, so.
I appreciate your time to put in the interests that you were able to put into it. Your breakdown was amazing, just sort of like what you've kind of seen along the way, your experiences from previous and then how it was able to be applied to your kids at different grade levels, from 1st grade, 2nd grade, all the way through. I think that's the critical eye that we appreciate and that you can kind of problem solve and go, this can really work, or, you know, when applied correctly and see. I like the predictability in which you kind of described, and seeing that from your perspective, it holds a lot of value. And hopefully, you know, to be able to implement this curriculum through with the fidelity and such, you know, it sounds like it could be very successful. But all the breakdown and everything, the way you described it in terms of your experience was exactly what we wouldn't know reading it ourselves, or reading it like, oh, this looks good, but the pictures, being able to, the continuity all the way through. It sounds good, it sounds great.
And I think it's important to point out too that when we were working as a team, I think the majority of folks, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the majority of the teachers on the pilot team could have been happy with either one. And to give you a little bit of context, when I first started in Moreland, Eureka was called Engage New York, which was an open source math curriculum, which I was a first year teacher, and my teaching team was like, here, we're gonna try this out this year. And I was like, okay, not knowing what I was doing, obviously. But being that it was all open source, you know, it was all online. And so I don't know any different. So I've been using Eureka for the entire time. So I know it very well. I know its bonuses, and I know its not so great components as well. I think the biggest struggle that I have seen is that it leaves a lot of kids behind. Because it's very, very wordy. And we have a huge EL population that you know, continues to increase. And so that was a huge struggle. And Eureka is very, very strategy heavy. So in 1st grade, for example, like you teach them probably maybe 8 different strategies of how to, you know, add and subtract with multiple digits. It's confusing. And so can you get around that? Absolutely. And you know, there's bonuses to being flexible and learning a lot of different strategies. But one of the things that I really liked about California Mathematics is it's very straightforward. And there's lots of opportunities to learn different ways. And there's not a lot of confusing strategies. And so I felt that it was really very student focused. And that was probably the biggest selling point for me.
Is there as much need for language? Because it's a pretty honest, we turned everything into a fairly complex word problem. And so if you were an EL student, you were pretty meaningfully disadvantaged.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like in this how they solved that same problem, because you were talking about these high-level math frameworks that they want people to grasp, so not just rote. So how does that not end up translating to an awful lot of text?
Well, they still have rigorous word problems, but they have cute little, at least in first grade, they have cute little animals and pictures, and they have sentence frames, you know, they have equation stems, and so they have a lot of support that's built in. Obviously, you know, if you need to supplement your curriculum for, I mean, I always have students that are 1 to 2 grades above the level I'm teaching. So I'm always supplementing more rigorous, challenging stuff to keep them engaged and keep them learning stuff that's not 1st or 2nd grade material. But even with the new Eureka Squared, there's no comparison to what California Mathematics has as far as like that support that's built in there to scaffold students that need it.
I would say in the middle school level, there were reading supports and reading structures, strategies embedded throughout. So within each homework, there was a graphic organizer of vocab or terms or just a thinking map of how to conceptualize the concepts reinforced right there. There's always a visual method of how to solve, along with like, here's the rote like equation formula to do. So it always paired it with another way.
Yeah, cool. Well, I appreciate it. You're right, our demographics have changed over time, and we would want to adopt a curriculum that makes sense to be successful for the student that we have today, but also for the students we are likely to have in the future.
I mean, there's nothing more heartbreaking than having students that have this,
you
know, never raise their hand, can't do stuff because it's too language heavy. So that's really, really hard.
Sorry.
I too want to thank you for your time, and to the entire committee, please do extend our gratitude, just because it is a lot of work, but we really do rely on your expertise. And I want to thank you for giving the example of not knowing how to support your own child because you're a math teacher. So it, you know, makes me feel a little bit better about my own personal struggles from time to time to support my children. And so that is really where the lens I come from with, is to say, how does this help parents partner in supporting student success? And I know, Jen, you mentioned constituents, and I'm assuming you're talking about teachers, but I'm also thinking families. And so you also had me at parent letter. That's amazing, because that's just one really critical piece, is that they need to know what they're working on. And so I'm excited about that. One question I have, when you're comparing, there's always going to be, you mentioned, you know, probably being happy with either one. Was there anything in the other that you're not recommending that you thought, oh, I really wish this one had that piece or a part of that?
Not for me, no. I mean, I think the only thing that comes to mind, and this is not, neither of them have this. No math curriculum I've ever seen has this. And it's that aspect of, you know, how do you support those kids that don't know their numbers yet? Or they don't know how to add and subtract with intent, which, you know, they're way below. Then you have other kids that, you know, they can whiz through everything you're doing before anybody else, and they're like, okay, now what? And you have to keep them challenged. And so that is something that I've had to do for many years. And I like it when students say, this is hard, I don't know how to do this. And I'm like, because then that's keeping them engaged. But I've never found a curriculum that has had all of that.
That makes sense.
You have to find it, or you have to make it. So there was nothing in California Mathematics that I felt was not in Eureka that should have been. Me personally.
The only thing at the middle school level, because we looked at the illustrative math, is they offer the IM1 math for advanced math. And under California Mathematics, we would stick with CPM for a little while longer for those two 7th and 8th grade advanced math students. So that was one thing, but that didn't sway, like our middle school group voted and we were like, we're done. We decided on California mathematics knowing that, but that was the only thing where it was like, if California mathematics had that pathway, they only have the Algebra 1 pathway, which I piloted, which was not bad, but just it's different.
Interesting.
Dr. Baldwin, do you have a sense for how these will connect at the high school level? I mean, I know what Prospect is doing.
So I did speak with the director of curriculum and instruction in the high school district and discuss this kind of matter of, because a lot of our kids also go to schools where the algebra track is the way that, there's lots of different high schools that our kids go to. So I asked her that question, and, are you sticking with the integrated track and so there's some questions, some doubt, and I don't want to say anything too far, but I think there is some question around that. But what she said is if our kids were to take algebra, they would still go into IM2. So that wouldn't change. So that would still be the trajectory. What we are going to do is next year have a compacted math committee, essentially, where we will evaluate what we actually want to do, because we just felt like that was, one step too far to, we didn't want to hinge the decision upon that. So we will have a compacted math where we will get to explore those concepts of, how many standards would they be missing if they did the algebra route, all of those things we would be able to look at next year.
Thank you. It caught my kids, so I appreciate that. Yeah. Super helpful.
I have one other question. So you touched on this as well, that because of your time as a teacher, you have lots of resources that you'll pull from. And I wonder how big of a challenge it will be to transition to this curriculum. I know there'll be professional development and supports in place, but do you see that being seamless? Because I think one of the pieces we've talked a lot about is how it gets implemented, and that kind of choosing the level of success that we're on, right? And so do you envision it being a challenge, a smooth, easy?
I'm not reading smooth and easy.
I mean, it depends on who you ask.
Sure, of course.
I'm a person who personally likes change. I don't like doing the same thing all the time, over and over again. So I'm not change averse, but if you are talking about someone that is change averse, it's probably going to be a big shift. I think that it is, like Nick said, it's very user friendly. It goes hand in hand with the diagnostic really well. So kids are already really familiar with, at least again in primary, they're already familiar with how things are sort of laid out for them, and they look very similar in the text.
Okay.
And so I think that's going to be very user friendly for teachers. Is there a learning curve? Yeah,
For
of
sure,
course.
yeah.
But I would say if the roles were reversed, it would probably be more challenging to go the opposite way.
Okay.
So if we had been using iReady and then gone to Eureka, I think it would have been more challenging. But I mean, that's again my opinion. I think that it would probably be beneficial for teachers to have like ongoing check-ins throughout the school year, because I think that, we all learn the best from each other and share, strategies, resources, and so forth. And so I think that that will be really beneficial if that's possible, to sort of see, check in and things, how are things going? And I think it's going to take some time. I mean, people are going to have to obviously get used to it. But even teaching a combo, I felt that the only obstacle that I encountered was time. Is that, I had a 50-minute block, and I felt like I wasn't able to teach all the math that I wanted to teach in 50 minutes. And that's, kind of a struggle always. It's not about the curriculum. So other than, time and maybe, having ongoing resource check-ins, I would say it probably will be pretty smooth. It's very user-friendly, so.
I would agree. I think there are going to be some sticklers where it's like, this is how I've always done it, and that's how they're going to want to do it. I think, I know at Latimer, like, it's really easy to talk to the middle school team because there's 3 of us and we've all signed up for the very first day of training because we're just ready to use it and try it. So I think as a team, we can rally each other like, hey, how did this go, and troubleshoot. And I think we're all willing to give it a chance, at least to see like, how did this work? And then have all of our extra stuff as backup. Oh, that concept didn't hit, here's my extra supports to fill in. I will say middle school is a little happier with the length of lessons. They're all said to be between 40 and 50 minutes, which fits the middle school block of about 42 minutes per period. I'm fortunate Latimer to be 55 minutes a class period, so I'm good. But I think they're happy to see that because the CPM lessons were told they're an hour, and trying to always be like, what do I have to trim? And now knowing you don't have to trim anything, right? You can shorten the discussion, but you can still get all the problems in. So I think teachers hearing that, knowing and seeing the usability, they're naturally going to be inclined to use it. I don't think they're gonna throw away all their extra stuff because they know what works with kids. And I think supplementing isn't a problem as long as they've given the first round with what the book says.
I'd like to just add to that. Ulysses, if you could hit the next slide there. We have a very robust plan, if you approve, to begin in June with optional training and have a kickoff on the first day, and we'll have if people already were trained or were on the pilot, they can go to a tier 2, a little more advanced training, and then 5 district collaborations that are especially focused on bringing our teachers up to speed and also addressing anything that might be problematic. So we'll keep a listening ear and make sure we're adjusting those trainings if as needed. If people are saying, oh, that we're having this or that type of issue, because we really see the potential of having a K-8 curriculum and how powerful that will be for kids. And so I think that we really do want to support our teachers in getting started and trying it out.
Just out of curiosity, if we're looking forward in a couple of years for the people that are still, what would we be worried about? Like I hear supplemental, like from my year, I go like, you're looking at classrooms. Are we again in a case where we got really lots of people doing their own thing? That'd be a concern for me. But and I'm not trying to get into the bit. I'm simply saying like, if we're looking at this 3 years and we're doing walkthroughs in classrooms, what should give us pause? What kind of feedback would we be hearing that we should go, oh, that something's not right here? Is it that our English language learners aren't being successful? What should we be keying in on as like kind of warning signs if we're implementing?
I think if students aren't talking, they come in and they're just busily working on their own independent handout, then they're not doing this. Okay. Right? The more students are talking, engaging, and communicating about it, then
you're closer to the point. Okay.
Yeah, because it goes back to kind of that mention of, the initial, it's like a slide, that sort of starts out the session. And, even if you've got kids that are struggling students, right? If there's not something that they know there's no right or wrong to it, they're going to be much more inclined to participate and talk about a math concept versus like, oh, I'm not going to say anything because I'm sure that's not the right answer. Right. And so I think that problem-solving component really helps them build their confidence and think in a mathematics way that maybe they didn't think that they ever could. And then as that progresses, they obviously are feeling like, well, I can do this. And so I think that's going to be really beneficial. And the other thing that Nick kind of pointed out too was when I was piloting this, I can't remember what they're called, but it's something sort of like a check-in or something like that. It's basically like a quiz. And so I found it really interesting to give those to my students towards the end of the week to sort of see where they were at and then realize like, oh, those 2 did not get it. Okay, I'm gonna pull them back and we're gonna have to work some more on this, but the other 3 did. And so there was a lot of continuity within that session to figure out if your kids were getting it or not. And then there's lots of, I don't know, middle school, but there's a lot of like partner activities that they can do together, games, small groups, and so it's really building their skills in a lot of different ways versus Eureka it's very dry. And there's not a lot of opportunities for any of those kinds of things. So I think we're gonna have students that are gonna be much more confident and feel like, I can do math. Math isn't scary, it's puzzles, it's patterns, it's fun, I can do it. And, you know, as a student, I remember specifically when I started hating math as a student and a kid. And, you know, math became very scary for me. And so I don't ever want, you know, any students to feel that way. So I think that if we can reach them in a lot of different ways and meet them at whatever level that they're at, it's gonna help them as the years progress. Hopefully.
One more thought just on growth mindset. What I tried to do, because there were 2 options of quizzes at the end of each week, was I gave all students like option A. And if they didn't score a certain percentage, it was, let's review, and then they had an opportunity to try again with option B. So it kind of gave them that confidence of, I don't know it yet, but I can still work on it. Because there's sometimes, at least with previous math curriculums, it was very cut and dry. You know it, great, we're moving on. You don't know it, great, we're moving on. And it was just kind of, they just had to deal with it versus this, it really, it was part of my reflective evaluation this year before I changed it. But it was really looking at these options of like, how many times can they retry? And it's really endless because it's building their confidence in math. Right. And not just saying, oh, I didn't do well, so I'm bad at math. It's, I didn't do well, and Mr. G is gonna make me sit and try and practice again until I actually do get it.
Yeah.
And then we'll move on. So I think that kind of builds a little resilience, and hopefully when you walk into classrooms, you can see that. Kids not defeated about math, but excited to see that.
I appreciate that it feels like something that'll support all kinds of students. And so what we continue to hear, the changes in not only demographics, but kids that are coming to us with no language, no English skills. And so there too, having an open door just sounds amazing. Dr. Codd, did you want to?
I did want to say a few words. I am very excited about this curriculum, the opportunity for the common language, vocabulary, and strategies that move from the elementary to the middle school. Mostly I wanted to understand this from a student's experience. So I was able to observe kindergarten, 2nd grade, 4th grade, 6th grade, and I believe 8th grade was in your class, talking to students. And my first experience with this, I went to the training of the curriculum and I sat with the middle school team and I was really worried that I was not going to have the right answer and I was not going to be able to figure out the problem because I'm sitting with like the smartest middle school teachers who love math and are on the math committee. And the lesson, I think you said, Julie, earlier, there are multiple entry points. So even I was able to access the ratio, remember the 6th grade ratio lesson, and I felt very successful. I went over with my first grade colleagues over in this corner, and we had similar strategies for figuring it out, which were very different than the ones the middle school teachers were using. And I saw that same lesson in a classroom a couple weeks later in a 6th grade classroom. And I asked, how's the rigor, what's going on, and I asked Joseph, who's a kid who you think is really high in here? And I wanted to seek that kid out and talk to him. And he was engaged in the problem and he was with his table mates. They were talking. There was every lesson I saw, kids were engaged in discourse, first of all. But I pressed this young student. I asked him something that kind of threw him off. And I said, are you sure that that's how you would explain whatever it was? He was like, well, I think so, but let me check. And one of his table mates was like, no, you're But I wanted to know, what is it like to be a high student engaged in just like your regular sixth grade math? What was it like for me to be able to access ratios? And I just feel very confident that what I observed and what I also felt when I was in the training, like our kids are going to be such better mathematicians by the end of this. And I've not felt that way about a math curriculum in a long time.
That's great.
Very hopeful.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about what the expectation is for the rollout and implementation? We've talked a lot about fidelity, and so what does that look like in terms of timing and expectations?
Sure. So I've heard loud and clear that fidelity of implementation with this math curriculum is very important. So we have the full day training for the teachers. We also have a full day training for the principals from the principal lens of the continuum of implementation and what they would be looking for in the math classrooms, which will be separate from what the teachers are getting. And then there's the 5 data collaborations where the teachers will be engaged in the professional development from the publisher, and they're quite good at what they do. They're all, I think, experienced teachers that have switched over to being, you know, the sellers of this, the marketers of this, but they were all teachers. So the plan is fidelity of implementation. Now, you're right, there will be supplemental. You can't stop that. That's just teachers teaching different groups of kids. But I would expect to see the math program out. I would expect to see the student work, because you'll be able to see it. And that is our whole goal for next year with principals, is focusing on feedback around mathematics instruction, because it's a K-8 adoption. So I have the opportunity to focus in on math.
And just as a teacher, and you know, we say fidelity, it's not meant to be like, there's just always this bottom up, top down. Can teachers have agency, and you want teachers to have agency. And the same thing, like, well, we did a K-8 curriculum, so that, you know, the goal was to have a thread that was consistent, you know, all the way through. So we're just trying to honor that thread meaningfully, you know, thinking that that's what, you know, we thought was the first principles consideration. Like, we want to see that goes all the way through. And so I guess in teachers, I feel like teachers are accountable to other teachers mostly. And you guys have the best. So we love that feedback that goes, hey, if teachers are supplementing, in some ways I think of it as a bit of a failure, meaning that they didn't find the curriculum successful enough. It doesn't mean all supplementals are bad. I don't mean anything by that. I just mean, like, if the overwhelming sense is I have to augment this in order to get my students to understand it, then I think my takeaway is I think we didn't do something right, either in the rollout or the type of curriculum, whatever it was. And so, is that the same view you have as a teacher, or is the teacher like, man, you know, if they get the same place at the same time, does it really matter?
I don't think that, I mean, at least in my experience at my site, I don't ever experience teachers saying, oh, I'm not going to use that, or that's garbage, I'm not going to use that. I think that generally speaking, everybody's using the adopted curriculum, but there are, you know, there's this one lesson that you're like, gosh, you know, I remember teaching that with whatever curriculum, or I found this resource that my friend gave me when I taught this grade 6 years ago, and using that as a supplemental tool, right? Not pitching anything, not throwing anything out, but really just kind of inserting that in to give a little bit more oomph if need be. I don't ever really experience, but I know at other sites there has been issues with, you know, teachers saying like, I'm not using that, or, you know, that's not easy to teach, or whatever the case is. And it's not just math, it can be anything really. Right. But I think that it's our jobs as professionals to really be advocates and say, like, you know, this is an adopted curriculum for a reason. And we all piloted it, and we voted on it, we discussed it intensely, and we are faithful that it's going to do what we had hoped it would. Are you going to have these cases where you have to pull supplemental stuff out for kids that they're not at grade level? Yeah, sure. Yep. Are you going to have kids that are way above, like I mentioned? Of course. But you're looking for that across the board that this is gonna reach your grade and your students, and I think that it definitely will. There's gonna be one-offs and hopefully not many, but I think that's always gonna be a possibility, but let's hope not, you know, because it's great, and I could have easily made both work, but my preference was definitely California mathematics, and I think that the online component, the online resources for teachers, as well as, you know, all of the curriculum and training opportunities and stuff, I think that with all of that said, I think it will be very successful. It's my hope.
Thank you guys for the work. Yeah.
I just want to speak on the vertical alignment. It was really interesting when we voted that overwhelmingly that was the focus for middle school teachers, right? Because they had seen the influx of kids from 5th to 6th, so they were like, this is really what we want. It was interesting, the elementary teachers were like, yeah, that's important, but it wasn't their number one focus, right? So I think with the fidelity there, for middle school teachers, they're gonna wanna use it, right? And then I just wanna speak 2 things on supplementing.
Yeah.
For me, it's really bringing fun into math, so it's bringing in math games. So what other games can I do? Or I have a book where it's story problems that they have to solve, and then they make a pamphlet out of it. So it's like, that's added, but not taking away from the curriculum. And then the other one I added a few years ago is just graphing calculator usability. It's touched on a little bit in our CPM curriculum, but not much. So thinking of our students going into high school, I'm like, here's a graph calculator, let me orient you so that you know how to use it, and then they want to use it all the time.
I love that, thank you, and that's feedback. So that I don't wander around and go like, oh, well, every time I see an additional piece of paper, oh, that means.
And I do that supplemental type of activities too, like, I usually do like once a week, I will do like, I call it a math project, and they're like, yes, it's math project day, you know, because it's like a crafty kind of project, but it's all about the concept that we've been working on. And so they still are doing math, but they get to actually do some fine motor with it as well. And they're like, oh, this was so cool. When are we gonna do our next one? You know, so it's not part of the curriculum, but it reinforces the skills that we're working on, and it makes math more fun. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's a huge investment. Obviously, we're going to be voting on the contract, but it's an investment in people, right? And so you're talking about using your expertise and the tools you know, and so that makes just a ton of sense. It's when I talk about how it gets implemented, it's really just making sure that we're maximizing people and their ability to collaborate and really support student success. And so I appreciate those examples. Anything else from Dr. Baldwin?
We had a really professional group of teachers. It was a fairly large group. Our discussions were rich and deep. People challenged each other. They felt very safe to do so, and I really feel like the process proved that out. And I am so grateful for them, and also Tracy Dwyer was a huge partner in this and helping to lead and put together. It's a lot to juggle all of those curriculum vendors and getting them here on the right day and all of those things, and Tracy handled all of that, so thank you to her as well.
All of the books.
Yeah, all of the books, so yeah, the whole services department did a lot of heavy lifting.
Well, I'm hopeful that the resource this provides you gives you really good support in all of the hard work you already are doing. So with that, we have a motion?
Any anything else before we vote on the motion? Then I would offer a motion to approve the adoption of the California mathematics curriculum.
And I will second.
And are we voting on that and the contract separately or together?
I think together, but you.
So we're voting, I just want to make sure we're making a motion to adopt the curriculum and approve the contract with Curriculum Associates.
Correct.
Yes, okay.
So moved.
Okay.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much. Please
Thank
do
you.
extend our
Thank you very
thanks.
much.
Thank you.
Yay! Very exciting.
Great
Thank
job.
you.
Great job.
Really appreciate it.
I'll do the next one.
Thank
I
you.
just had to bring them out today.
And my daughters made these at our open house and they dropped them off today.
Oh,
They were gonna be a dance, but their mom picked them up.
Thank you.
thank you. Have a good night. All right, on to the consent.
Motion to approve the consent calendar in aggregate.
Now, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Closing items, future meeting dates. So we have the 6th, the start time is still 8, or is it 8:39?
I think 8:30 closed, from 8:30 to 9:30 closed,
Okay.
and then 9:30 to 11:30
Interviews.
for interviews, and then I believe you guys wanted closed after, from 11:30 to 12:30 or so, and then I think, Ryan, does that meet your timing?
Yeah, we'll make it work.
Okay. So we'll post that next week, I think we were thinking next Tuesday, and we would post it for the Saturday
Okay,
meeting.
great. And then June 9th is just, that is when we would take the oath of
Oath of
office.
office.
Woo-hoo, okay. Anything on future meeting dates?
9th is great. The 24th, which is the second one in June.
23rd?
3rd, I'm
Okay.
sorry, I'm in New York and I won't be able to make it.
Okay.
So I need to double check that we have a quorum. All the pieces now, we have new board members, Siggy, but we should be okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Ryan,
No, nothing to add.
anything else?
Shelley, you're
Announcement?
available when?
A year from now.
Announcements, reminders, requests? Anyone? All right. We are adjourned and we're reconvening in closed session?
Yes.
Okay.